What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. I'm here with Gab and Maui. Say hi, boy.
Hello, we're back again.
Gavin the Polo is back, baby!
Hashtag Polo Gab tayo today. Hashtag Polo Gab. Okay, so alam nyo na yung gagawin natin today as promised right before the Saturday game. It's Friday night. Medyo nag-cram kami but pagbigyan nyo na, napagod kami nung Wednesday. We are going to do GiddiYap's power rankings for the first two games. Again, it's just two games, but we are still going to do our GiddiYap's power rankings, updating from our preseason power rankings. But before we review the power rankings for this week, special shout out, I have to say, special shout out to the gold medalists of the Asian Games men's basketball tournament. Team Gilas Pilipinas, coached by Coach Tim Cone. Congrats to the team. Congrats to everyone, to all the players, to all the coaching staff. They had a very short preparation time, and yet they still won. They still made it. They won their first gold since, ano ba sabi mo sa akin, Maui? Since 1962. Tama ba? Yes, so first gold medal in the Asian Games since 1962, beating Kobe Light, Rondae Hollis Jefferson, and Team Jordan.
Kobe Light.
Revenge game.
Kasi tinambakan tayo ng group stage, di ba? I think tayo ba like 20 plus points or something. So, another, I think, good game from Brownie. To be honest, hindi ko napanood. Ange Kwame definitely made an impact today. Really happy for Gilas. And hopefully, this will not be the last, no? Tayo naman, I know we've said some things about Gilas and the program in the past, pero we're all for winning. We're all for the success of Gilas. Gusto lang naman natin.
In the end, Pilipino pa rin kami.
Correct.
Correct. Tama.
So, very happy for Gilas and the team. Well-deserved to everyone. Mix of vets and young guys, Calvin Oftana, future long-term Gilas member, Kevin Alas, Scotty Thompson.
Kahit si Kwame.
Ange Kwame, yeah. And mga veterano na maybe we're seeing the last of their international playing years, like
we
June
should
Mar
be seeing the last.
Marshall Lassiter, Chris Ross,
si Lassiter, Gilas 1.0 pa si Lassiter.
Gilas 1.0 pa si Lassiter. I think that was mentioned by Sev Sarmienta. So, full circle din. Ganda din yung story. So, again, congrats to the Gilas team.
Congrats.
Kudos to everyone. You deserve it. Well deserved. Palakpakan
sana springboard na to a better program with a better system. We'll see.
Sana tuloy-tuloy na. And I wish them all the best. If si Tim Cone man yung magiging coach for the long term, hopefully he gets like a good and healthy team then. And enough time to prepare. Okay, sige. With that said, let's proceed to our power rankings. But before we talk about this week's power rankings, let's take a review of our preseason power rankings. This was our list prior to the start of the season. Number 1, UP Fighting Maroons. San kaya sila ulit this week? Number 2, LaSalle Green Archers. Number 3, Ateneo Blue Eagles. At 4th is the NU Bulldogs. Number 5 on the power ranking list is the FEU Tamaraws. Next, UST Growling Tigers. Second to the last was the Adamson Soaring Falcons. And we initially put last during the preseason, the UE Red Warriors. So, Maui, wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa. Sa power rankings mo this week, let's start. Sino ang last place team mo? I'm curious where you want to go with this one.
Okay. So, from the first two games, there were two teams that did not win. So, two winless teams. I have to put UST first as the number 8 team. I think justified yung comments ng some of our subscribers and viewers that we overreacted to UST. But I think it's a 1 year early reaction. we saw their off-season and we thought that Nick Cabanero would have a lot of partners and help for this season. But if you watch our previous episode, we ended with it's only 2 games, but will Nick Cabanero still be in UST next year? So that's a question we have to ask if UST continues to lose games. Si Gab also mentioned, will they win more than 2 games? I hope they do. But so far, it looks like a lot like last year. It doesn't look pretty.
No, I said they'll be lucky to win 2 games. They'll be lucky to win 2.
They'll be lucky to win 2 games. So far, it doesn't look bright. Right now, ang pinangahawakan na lang talaga namin if we look at our previous episodes is that we think that most of the Pido Horencio teams in the UAAP started out slow, including the championship, 2006 championship UST Growling Tigers. So is this a repeat? Is this fake? Is UST not showing their true colors? SJ Moore has not played a lot of minutes. We'll see. We'll see within the next few games. But definitely, if they want to contend for the Final Four, they have to win games this weekend. They have to win. They cannot start like FPU, started 0-5 last year. Any comments, guys, on the 8th team in our power rankings?
Ako muna. I agree with this. I think from my comments the previous episode, I've been very disappointed in UST. They have not looked like a team prepared for this season. Well, at least in the first game, no? And even in the first half of that Adamson game on Wednesday. They didn't look prepared at all for the UAAP season. Daming turnovers. It's like they hadn't practiced for a long time or they hadn't practiced enough. And Coach Pido's comments reflected it. I think it's spreading around his speech during the timeout na, di mo natin pinractice to. Ba't nyo ginagawa yan? Diba? So,
may
I
kasama
think
pang
it's very
mura yun,
apparent. May kasama mura. Hindi ko na sabihin.
Classic Pido.
Yung classic Pido. But, yeah, they've looked very rough. So, for those na nagsabi na we judged USC too early, we did listen to you and I think you guys were right and we admit our mistake. You know, itama si Maui eh. With the talent haul they got, we thought that they would play them more and perhaps get more help around Nick Cabanero, develop that talent. But it looks like Pido is going the veterans route. He's playing a lot of the veterans and the veterans are not any good. That's the bottom line. I think that last year's 1-13 record is evidence that the veterans are not any good. They injured quote unquote si Adama Faye, and that's added evidence that they're at the bottom now of the power rankings. Tough start for UST, and the thing is, we talked about it also in the last episode. They lost to the 2 teams that they could easily beat. But I that we think are with them yung at the bottom of the UAP that they could easily get wins against. But UE and Adamson, very winnable game. Especially that Adamson one, I thought they got away. Yeah. That got away from them, and losing to those teams is not gonna get easier in the next 5 games for them. Definitely not getting there. Out of those next 5 games, 4 are preseason contenders. So, not looking good for UST. Sad.
Okay, UST pretty much covered everything, Gab and Maui. Let's proceed to number 7. Maui, sino ang number 7 mo?
Number 7 ko is katabi ng UST sa previous rankings natin to the left. So, the 4th, we ranked them as the 5th team. I'm going with FEU. I'm going with the FPU just because they have a 0-2 record. But I think this FPU team is a lot better than the FPU team last year. I think the development of Cholo Ononuevo and Patrick Sleep has been pretty evident during the first 2 games. Unfortunately, they were not able to close out yung games nila this weekend. But hopefully they don't start 0-5. I mean, during the preseason, we called them out. If they want to make the Final Four, they cannot start 0-5 again. If they do, then most probably they won't make the Final Four, even if they get hot during the second half of the season. But yeah, I think justified yung FEU as the 7th seed in our power rankings, mostly because of their foreign student athlete, which we also covered during our previous episodes. He hasn't been competent enough to hang with the locals. How more if he goes against the bigger and stronger foreign student athletes from the other teams. So far, FEU, yung lineup that works works best for them is yung small ball lineup nila. So we will definitely see a lot of this more in the coming weeks. I think this is their best lineup. It's unfortunate that Cholo Nuevo has to play 5. He was projected to be a shooting guard, small forward when he went to the US, but now he's playing 5. His best position for FEU right now is 5. But they have to make do with what they have. And hopefully they rack up some wins. But because if they start 0-5 again, then they will most likely not make it to the Final Four. Comments, guys.
Okay. If we're just basing it off of rankings, yeah, this makes sense. FEU should be at the bottom 2 since these 2 teams are the 2 winless teams. Pero actually, well, you mentioned it. FEU is actually a better team. I disagree here. Parang I would, even with 2 losses, parang for me personally, I would put FEU higher than second to the last. Kasi
I agree.
We know this is a good team. They actually fought against 2 very good teams in LaSalle and NU. Nahirapan lang sila because yun nga, as you mentioned, Mau, nahirapan sila without an FSA that they can put on the floor, but with their death lineup, ikaw nagsabi, Mau, death lineup nila na small ball lineup nila, I think this can be a very competitive team. So nandito para sa akin, nandito lang siya because of standings, because they're 0-2. But we're just talking about how good a team FEU is. They deserve to be higher, I would say. Yun lang naman. Gab.
I agree with you, Sam. No? Yes, Maui has a point that they lost their first 2 games, but I was gonna say what Sam mentioned, that they lost to 2 contending teams, supposedly contenders, right? NU and LaSalle, and for most of those games, they stood toe-to-toe with those 2 contenders, especially against NU. They kept it close. They were in it until the last few minutes of the game. And against LaSalle, they made a run to make it competitive in the 4th quarter, again using that small ball lineup. I think they have more talent versus some teams like Adamson and UE. If I were to put someone at number 7, I would actually put UE at number 7. UE looked impressive the first game. Again, I think because UST was just so bad in the first game. So for me, FEU, because of the record, I kind of see why Maui put them at 7. But to me, they're not 7. I think they deserve more credit for hanging with 2 contending teams. And I would put UE actually at number 7. That's all.
Okay, done. UE at 7. Makes sense. Okay, where do you go? Where are we going with number 6, Maui?
Yeah, for number 6, I'm going with Adamson. I put Adamson here, much like UE. They got their win against UST, but without Jerome Lastimosa, I still need validation that they can hang with other teams. So far, it's been Cedric Manzano that has been leading the way. Simon Tebon has also showed a lot of promise, especially since it's a rookie. I still think that Joshua Yero and Sisa Bandal also stepped up finally last game. But I think those 2 guys will have to really carry the load. So actually, yung 6th and 5th slot ko is really a toss around on Adamson and UE. So I'm saying my 5th team, it's also UE. You guys can comment na lang at the same time. I think it really reflects because they both have 1-1 records. They both showed promise, but against UST, everyone was hyped. Sorry, pasensya na sa voice pala. napaos tayo sa excitement sa first UAAP experience.
Nasobrahan si Maui sa first Atreolo sa game niya in 4
nasobrahan.
years.
Yeah, so the only reason I put UE over Adamson here is because I think Momoway and Remogat has more as the capacity because of their ceiling to rack up more wins than Adamson. I think they had a more convincing win against UST than Adamson. Remogat has been really good as advertised. I think everyone was hyped up in the last 2 games, but players have big games when they play non-bearing games during the end of the season. Remogat looks like the real thing. Momoway also looks very, very promising, except that he was slaughtered nung last game niya by Malik Diouf. I think he shot 3 for 22 ata or 4 for 22 and 8 for 16 sa throw. But he still had 822 rebounds. So Momoway is surprising us. I think he could be in contender for the second top FSA, probably behind Omar John. So yeah, I think UE and Adamson deserves to be number 6 and number 5 for this week.
Gab, you already mentioned UE.
Comments.
How would you rank it?
I would actually put this as UE at 7, FEU at 6, and Adamson at 5. My reasoning behind it is Adamson, I think, just ran into a pretty dominant UP team in the first game. In the second game, I thought they showed more poise, especially in the clutch. We saw glimpses of Joem Sabandal finally getting shots in. Like you mentioned Maui Simon Tebon. I think he's looked impressive in 2 games. Bit of a tirador, diba? Tirador talaga siya. And I think he has a license to shoot as well from Coach Nas anyway. But you can see the makings of a team with some young guys and a mix of veterans. They do have a lot of veterans. I think Vince McBuhos has not really played that well yet. But we all know that Vince McBuhos can get hot. Cedric Manzano, I think they should run more offense, even more than what they did against UST. I would put Adamson at 5.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah,
Adamson at 5, FEU at 6, and UE at 7. Again, UE ang hirap eh. They played well against a pretty bad team, and well, at least for the most part of that UP game, they played horribly, especially that first quarter. But I just want to give something to UE. No, they do have a very exciting and up-tempo system. Classic Coach Jackson Charo. Shoot a lot of threes, focus on one guy to make plays, which is Remogat, and have a guy who can rebound and roll and protect the rim in Momoway. Hard to judge UE, but I think I'll give the edge to Adamson and FEU for this. Sam?
Interesting. The 3 of us have different rankings. So I don't know, baka sobrang high lang ako on FEU. I would keep FEU at 5 despite having a 0-2 record. But I you know what? I don't mind your picks. I know UA and Adamson won their games, but to your point, it was both those wins were against UST. With Adamson, kind of similar to Maui. I'm just not sure how well they'll do against like good teams also without Lastimosa. Their new FSA, nakalimutan ko na, definitely maybe a little lower tier. Ojarikre is probably a lower tier than ano pangalan ng FSA nila last year?
Duanga
was good. So definitely they missed Duanga, I think. Siguro for me, surprising lang how Cedric Manzano has been dominant in the first 2 games. I'll give Baby Boy that. I was surprised, maybe against UST, not that much of a surprise, but was really surprised how good he was against UP also. Minalas lang nga nagka-accidental headbutt. So I'll give that to Adamson. Yung UE, Gab, you mentioned it. I think they have a good system given the players that they have. Kudos to Coach Jack for that. And Maui, I agree with what you said. UE has the upside because they're a very young, energetic team. So I think that's what they have. But I'm gonna go for the stability of FEU, having the same team from the previous year. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really high on FEU. It's nagkataon lang they went up against top 4 teams agad in their first 2 games.
No, Sam. Actually, I was also debating that when it's just that they really started 0-2. But it's it's I get your point. I think this weekend should be a must win for FEU, but they've shown that they can hang. And yung development ng players is I think yung pinaka evident from this season. Si Sleet and Anunuevos really is like different players this year.
Yeah, I've seen Anunuevos.
Cyrus Torres' shots are going in.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the problem is, Gab, what if it doesn't go in?
It doesn't go in na no? Hindi na pumasok.
Talo sila 0-2, it's going in. Yeah.
Go, Gab.
And I was gonna say one of our subscribers who commented na they might start 0-5 because their schedule is very rough.
Brutal.
Diba? Pero sabi ko, that UE game tomorrow, I think is gonna be very winnable for them. I think they can not easily, but they can beat UE. I think UE is not that deep aside from their starting 5. Once you get past their starting 5, I think you have a chance. Yeah. And I think they can survive playing small ball against Momoway. No? He's not a dominant or super offensive juggernaut.
If pagka-wing si Momoway, he doesn't really
that hefty.
Yeah, it's not hefty. He doesn't post up. Most of his points is faced up from offensive rebounds.
Yeah. It's not like they're going up against a Mike Phillips again or an Omar John again. Diba? They're not going up against that. So I think mas kaya ang UE. So FEU fans, chin up. I think you're gonna get a win. Personally, I'm calling it. I think you're winning tomorrow against UE. Sam?
Wow. Bold prediction from Gab.
Ako, Gab, must-win game na sa kanila.
Must win.
Diba? Kasi if they start again 0-5, it's gonna be an uphill battle. I mean, they should know. They experienced that last year. They almost made the Final Four. But their 0-5 record was too brutal.
Yep.
And siguro, may kasama na rin na gigil. They have to win their first game for Coach Denok Miranda. Diba?
Yeah.
Kinda like, they were saying sa Ateneo Lasal game, the Ateneo players didn't want Coach Tab to experience his first 0-2 game since coaching Ateneo. So, I think the FEU players should be motivated to win the game tomorrow. But I think it will be competitive. Tama ka, Gab. It's not gonna be an easy win for FEU. Definitely, UE is no pushover. We've seen that. Okay, sige. So, we've covered the first half. At the bottom, UST, then FEU, then Adamson, then UE for Maui. Where are you going for number 4?
This is
first
interesting.
team on the top 4.
So, if you guys saw yung namin, yung power rankings namin ng preseason, basically the top 4 and the bottom 4 has not changed. But the bottom 4 and the top 4, na-jumble siya. So, for the number 4 slot, I'm going with LaSalle. And you guys know why from our previous episode. They lost to Ateneo. Ateneo suffered a huge blowout loss from NU ng opener. Yet, LaSalle, with all the confidence, and it's seen in the games, ang daming Lasalista versus Atenista. Even si Coach Luigi Trillo and si Miko Halili called it on TV. Iba yung aura ng Lasal. Mas confident yung fans, mas confident yung team that they can finally beat Ateneo. But unfortunately, during the past 10 games, I think Lasal has only won one game. They still lost yesterday. They still lost nung weekend to Ateneo. So I have to put them at number 4, definitely. because they lost to Ateneo, and Ateneo is part of that top 4 teams that we have categorized as potential contenders. So I think if they had won the game against Ateneo, I'd probably put LaSalle in number 2. But because they lost the game against Ateneo, they have to be penalized and put into number 4. I think si Kevin Kiambao summed it up. They have to have more composure. Mike Phillips was in foul trouble the whole game against Ateneo. Kevin Kiambao picked up his 4th foul in third quarter because he argued when he picked up his 3rd foul and he picked up a technical foul. Now he has 4 fouls and they cannot play both Phillips and Kiambao because of foul trouble. Kevin Kiambao was very optimistic post-game. He just mentioned that they have to be more composed. They have to forget about the game and they have to move on. If his history dictates, if we look at history with this LaSalle team, it doesn't look good when they. It usually looks good when they lose to a good team, but it looks bad when they win against a good team. I'm hoping that they show more consistency this season. Hopefully, they bounce back during their next game tomorrow. Thoughts?
Okay. I agree with this spot for LaSalle. And if you're going where I think we're going to have the same top 4 here, Mao. Yes, I agree. LaSalle is number 4. I think we have to give the win of Ateneo a sort of a bump for you for the Blue Eagles yung versus the Green Archers for this one. LaSalle, not just composure, execution and the patience. You know, they even in the 4th quarter they were going for quick shots. First action they run shot. That's all they did. They didn't have any sets that looked for different options. Look for the secondary action. That extra pass, wala eh. They still struggle with the half court. When the game slows down, they can. It just so happens na uminit lang si Kevin Kiambao no last few minutes ng 4th quarter, which is why they looked good in the half court. But otherwise, if you look at that game, they were just running one action and then shot, one action and then shot. So they weren't going into
Gab,
different place eh. Go Maui.
Yeah, just to add lang dun sa thoughts mo. So far, I think si Coach Luigi Trillo called it also sa telecast. If you stop Evanelli, then LaSalle cannot execute. So far, they've lacked that consistent playmaker. Si Kiambao is probably the closest to that second shot creator. Unfortunately, most of their wing players are slashers. Si Joaquin Manuel showed some flashes ng first half, but this was not during the second half. They really
Draymond Green, bro. Draymond Green.
Yeah, Draymond Green. So Ateneo, I think we have to also give a shout out to Ateneo for shutting down Evan Nelly despite Nelly scoring 15 points. He had 3 assists in comparison to the season opener where he had, I think, 12 assists. Yeah.
Sean Ketevis, baby. Sean Ketevis.
Okay, let's go to the next one kasi I think I'm assuming we're all expecting the same team dito sa next. Kasi I think yung 3rd and 4th will be very related. Tingnan natin. Maui, sino ang 3rd mo?
Yeah, so from our power rankings, only 2 teams did not move from the preseason. And at number 3, I'm still putting Ateneo at number 3. I think this is justified because of their win against LaSalle. They got blown out by NU, but they won against LaSalle. I mean, at the end of the day, only the standings will count. Ateneo bounced back big from a 20-point beat down from NU. I think that speaks volumes as far as the character of the players of Ateneo. Despite being mostly young players, having only 4 or 5 guys returning, I was very happy and pleasantly surprised that Chris Kuhn, of all players, decided to play with a bang right off the bat. Sila ni Kai Balungay, we have to shout out them. We called Kai Balungay one of the Boleros of the opening weekend. He was one of the bowlers from this week. But I think more importantly, si Balungay kasi will get his points to the system.
Nanonood siya pare ng Boleros. Yun eh.
Na-inspire sa'yo, Mau.
Yeah. No, but more importantly, I think Chris Kuhn showed that he can be that man for Ateneo. I think Kai Balungay will score with the system. Chris Kuhn will have to be that guy that would score when the system doesn't work, when they have to force up shots, when the shot clock is running out. He has to be that man. And for him to be successful this season, he has to be as aggressive as he was against LaSalle. I think from the get-go, kita naman nyo, he had a poster dunk with for over Mike Phillips early. I think that showed that he was really energized and ready to play. In comparison to how he played against NU, where he didn't have I think he had one basket. He probably had only 2 points. Balungay had 4. For Ateneo to compete this season, I was telling this to my dad. If Ateneo is going to compete against the top teams, against all teams, Kai Balungay has to score at least 15 to 18 points with Chris Kuhn scoring from 12 to 15. I think that has to be a must for Ateneo. Given their lack of scoring options also. The other guys will have to step up by committee. One game, Espinosa will score, Gomez will score. The other game, Brown. Some games, Nieto will also get baskets. But I think for Ateneo to really compete this season, there has to be 3 consistent scorers, and that has to be Balungay, Kuhn, and my favorite, I called him one of the top contenders for Look of the Year. He finally balled out. Kiefer Ravena had 0 points in his debut. Mason Amos had 2 points during his debut. He showed out.
Slow down there, bro.
He showed out against LaSalle and scored 8 points in the crunch time. Back-to-back 3-pointers in the tough follow-away. That was big for his confidence, I think, for this season. Going up against our bitter rivals, LaSalle. Hopefully, this is a stepping board for Amos to be more consistent. Along with Kuhn and Balungay, I think those 3 will have to be consistent. Any games that those 3 are not consistent, Ateneo will struggle. Similar to how it happened against NU, in my opinion. Comments?
Okay. So, may short feedback or comment here. Definitely, I think Ateneo beat LaSalle. So, Ateneo deserves to be ranked above LaSalle, sure. But I'm not that convinced yet. I think for me, it could still be a toss-up between these 2 teams. I could put LaSalle 3rd there and Ateneo 4th. Just because I have to go back to that first game where Ateneo lost badly to a very, very good NU team. And we obviously, nasa top 2 si NU. And I think even Coach Tab was the one who said it during the post-game interview. Sabi niya, this was, I forget yung exact words, pero sabi niya, this was not a good game for us. This was more a gutsy game, a gut-it-out game. So for me, Ateneo has not shown me a good game yet. And yun lang yung parang kulang sa akin. They still need to show me more before I would maybe be convinced to put them here. So, part of me medyo 50-50. I wanna put LaSalle still above Ateneo. But just, again, parang FEU kanina, out because Ateneo beat LaSalle, sure, we can put Ateneo there. But I still need to see more from Ateneo, basically, is what I'm saying.
I agree with Sammy on this. That's what I said. Slow down there, Mau. Yes, there were some bright spots in the LaSalle game. You mentioned Chris Kuhn. I said it in the last episode. He has to be the guy. And I think that's the starting 5 that you have to see. I'm interested how Coach Tab will start tomorrow against Adamson. I think the starting 5 he did against LaSalle is the one to go. But similar to last season, the bench is just horrible. Every time the bench came in, they could not get any offense going. And I was having a discussion with one of our subscribers in the comments in their previous video about Jason Credo and Andrew Bongo, saying that I think he said that they have to take on the more of that playmaker role in the second unit, which I agreed with because when the second unit comes in, and it's Espinosa running the show. And at the end of the shot clock, they just gave it to Espinosa to make a play. And it's really hard for Espinosa to make a play because they know that when they blitz him with a big, he can't see anything because he's so damn small.
He's too small.
So it's kind of hard for him to manufacture shots on his own. You said, Maui, that he had some good looks. Yeah, he had some good looks on kickouts when he was attacking closeouts, not when he was the primary playmaker. I don't think making Espinosa the primary playmaker, the second unit, is gonna do it for Ateneo. You mentioned Mason Amos. Yes, he had a good crunch time, but if you look at the first 3 quarters, my goodness, he had so many defensive lapses. Missed box outs, terrible lateral quickness. I don't want to be negative. I mean, he did his role on offense. On offense, he's amazing. He's a good shooter. But for long stretches on defense, I think he was unplayable on defense. That's why I said slow down. Uminit lang siya for a few minutes. Pero I don't think he's gonna get that much minutes because yun nga, medyo natatalo ang Ateneo on defense because of him. And in the fourth quarter, he was only put in because Joseph Obasa was freaking tired and couldn't move anymore. So that's why he was put in to sub in. So that lots of problems still for Ateneo, but there are bright spots where you can see that they're forming something. You know, last year this happened also. The second unit last season 85, was terrible as well. But it all came together into the final end of the second round, final 4 into the finals, and eventually led to a championship. So yeah, I agree with Sam. It's a toss-up between Ateneo and LaSalle. But Ateneo, you got the win on Wednesday. So yeah, I would put them at number 3. I agree with this spot on number 3.
One final note siguro to end on a positive note for Ateneo. We talk about nung crunch time, yung 8 straight points ni Mason Amos. We talked about Kai Balungay dominating. He also had like a few crunch time buckets. I think we also need to shout out someone that we didn't talk much about, Jared Brown. I think he was quiet, but he made clutch baskets. He had a clutch mid-range jump shot nung last few minutes. And if I remember correctly, either LaSalle was doing the run or natatambakan na tayo, and he hit like timely 3-pointers. So nice to see that. 0 turnovers. Nice to see that from Jared Brown. I'm hoping he gets to continue yung good performance niya tomorrow para at least tuloy-tuloy na. I agree with you guys. I think he deserves to be the starting point guard then for Ateneo. Okay, let's go with the last 2. Reveal mo na, Maui. Ano yung last two picks mo for the power rankings?
Yeah, I think it has to be unanimous. If you ask anyone who has watched the first 2 games of the UAAP, the top 2 teams are unanimous, but I'm going with NU at number 2 and UP at number 1. Some of our subscribers, some of our viewers are conflicted pa. They're calling NU the team to beat, but I really think that UP is the team to beat. From top to bottom.
We'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow.
We'll see tomorrow, but right now I think from 1 to 16 versus NU's 1 to 16, it really has to be UP. Even if NU beats UP tomorrow, I think UP is still the team to beat, regardless. They just have a lot of they have more new players than NU, so NU might have the upper hand for tomorrow. But I think UP has that ceiling. UP can sweep the elimination round. They have that ceiling for me. They're just such a good team. They have players from all positions that can contribute. They have arguably the best foreign student athlete in Malik Diouf. Omar Jan is not a close number 2, but he's the number 2 FSA for this season. Malik Diouf is just a cheat code. I think we mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this in previous episodes or in our chat or with my friends. Malik Diouf is a cheat code, similar to how Ange Kwame was during previous seasons before Malik Diouf arrived. Malik Diouf is just too good. If you watch yung UP games, you don't even feel that he's stuffing the stat sheet, but you see his impact on the floor on both ends. He's their guy, their glue guy, and they will go as far as Malik Diouf is healthy. They will go as far as Malik Diouf doesn't get in foul trouble. I think UP, this is really their title to lose. They don't have any problems or any loopholes as of the moment. I think NU is really. I have to shout out NU. They really play a good brand of basketball. The development also of their players. We called this out during previous games. I was very impressed with the guard play. Steve Nash has an improved 3-point shot. Kian Baclaan is now a more willing passer. Jake Figueroa started to contribute last game. He had, I think, 9 points and 12 rebounds. For NU to compete, it has to be more than the guards. I think we can agree on that. Kian Baclaan, Steve Nash, Enriquez will contribute in their ways. Steve Nash will always be that energy guy. Kian Baclaan will always attract the defense and try to facilitate and score. But for them to be successful, for them to be a title contender, I think they have to have those guys that contribute from game to game consistently. Omar Jan has to be consistent. They have to find another wing player. It's been by committee so far. Figueroa had a good game nung second game. PJ Palacielo has contributed a bit. Gab would want him to get more touches and more minutes. But yeah, I think it could be a toss-up for most people, but for me, it's a unanimous number one for UP. NU is not far behind. I believe that they can beat UP tomorrow. But if you just look at how they have performed so far, UP has looked scary. I think I mentioned this in previous episode. They are scary and they are real. CJ Cancino is healthy and looks like the top shooting guard so far in this first two games.
Sobrang init niya sa tres. Grabe.
Yeah, and we saw this during previous seasons that he has really an improved 3-point shot. I'm happy he's healthy. I think he has a good future. Hopefully he doesn't get injured anymore. But yeah, those are my top two picks. I really think UP has the upper hand as of right now.
No complaints here. Any quick reactions, Gab?
I don't think the gap is that big between UP and NU. For the first two games of the season, UP has beaten two quote-unquote bottom of the pack teams. Adamson and UE. I think the talent gap between UP and Adamson and UE are so wide, and that is why they looked very convincing. Tomorrow, talagang game to watch, UP NU. NU has looked Yep. NU has looked equally impressive to me. Equally deep, equally talented on every possession. Yes, they have a ton of guards, and I love the way Coach Jeff Napa is playing those guards. But those bigs can contribute as well. The wings can contribute as well. It's shocking to me that they're not using Mike Malonzo that much anymore. Mike Malonzo was a starter last season. Now he's coming off the bench, playing bench minutes. I love NU. I love the way they play. I love their defense. Their defense is awesome. The defense is awesome. And I'm sure if you get down to the numbers, it's going to be UP number one on defense, followed by NU. And I don't think the gap is that big. I think NU has as much of a chance tomorrow to beat UP. And I have no complaints with UP at number one. I mean, they were the preseason number one. They're 2-0, looking dominant. They're still number one, but the gap has inched closer between UP and NU. NU, I think, was number 4 in our preseason rankings, right? Tama ba?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Behind Ateneo and Lasal pa.
Yep. And they have inched closer to UP. I think they're that close. And tomorrow, we'll see, no? We'll see how close they really are. And I'm going to be interested.
Yeah, for me, UP number 1. Okay, full disclosure, alam naman ng iba dito, I may cheer for Ateneo but I also graduated from UP. So UP is usually my second go-to team. So pag Ateneo UP ang championship, masaya ako, diba? Walang talo. Walang talo. But I did tell someone, one of our commenters in a previous episode, kung tanggalin na natin yung biases ko for Ateneo and UP, NU is I would be cheering for NU. NU is my favorite team for this season, I would say. I just really like how their team is built, how they're coached, how they play. So, really, game to watch. Do not miss the game tomorrow.
1 p.m. tomorrow. I think that's the game of the day tomorrow.
Panoorin natin yan.
Marami nga akong mga kilalang mga Atenista manonood, hindi para sa Ateneo
doon manonood
game, para
no?
sa UPNU.
Oo, yun yung gusto panoorin na game eh. Oo nga.
Gusto nila magkakalaman na kasi bukas. Yeah, magkakalaman na bukas.
Tama. Magkakaalaman na bukas. At syempre, pag-uusapan natin yan dito sa Boleros Podcast. So, ito yung power
day ulit.
4 game day ulit, mapapagod
no
tayo.
No games on Sunday.
But, yes, makakapagpahinga tayo. We'll see when we'll be able to release our instant reaction podcast for the 4 games tomorrow. But this is our power rankings. I know this is a bit late, so we're posting this midnight before the game on tomorrow, Saturday. To the fans watching, to the subscribers watching, baka habang pinapanood nyo to, the game is ongoing and maiba na agad yung power rankings depending on the results tomorrow. But this is the power rankings after the first 2 games of the season.
More upsets.
After tomorrow, we'll see. Yeah, baka mapahiya na naman kami, diba? So, we'll see what the results are. Let's talk again this weekend after the games. So, that's it for today's GiddiYap's power rankings. Just to recap our power ranking after 2 games. Number 1 is FEU today. Number 1 is UP. Number 2 is NU. 3 is Ateneo. 4 is LaSalle. At the bottom 4, we have UE at number 5. Adamson at number 6. FEU at number 7. And last but not the least, UST Growling Tigers. That's it for today's episode. Thank you again. Don't forget, like, comment, share your thoughts, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you again next time. Bye-bye.